ahead, Gary.
You ready? Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the Township of Union, which is being held pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Law, C-231, Laws of New Jersey, dated 1975. Notice of this meeting was advertised in the local source, the newspaper of record, and notice has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building adjacent to the municipal clerk's office. Roll call.
Mr. Wiley.
Yes.
Ms. Martins is not here. Mr. DeVegan is absent. Ms. Scott.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. McNeil is absent. Mr. Graves.
Here.
Ms. Ricketts.
Here.
Mr. Champy.
Here.
And we have a planning board member who had to sit in tonight, Mr. Frayne.
Here.
There being a quorum present, this meeting is now declared open. Mr. Manguso, at this time, are there any communications?
At this point, Mr. Chairman, no, there's no communications.
Hearing none, we'll proceed with tonight's meeting. Our first order of business will be the adoption of a resolution for calendar number 3456, Nicole Drakeford. Location is 2428 Terrell Road, Block 3901, Lot 10. Applicant wishes to install an in-ground swimming pool with insufficient setbacks. Board members, you've all had a chance to read the resolution. At this time, are there any board members that would like to come forward and make changes, modifications, or comment on the resolution as it has been written? Hearing none, may I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I move that this board adopt the resolution as written and as accurately memorialized in the previous findings of this board.
Second motion.
Roll call.
Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Graves.
Yes.
Mr. Champy.
Yes. Our next order of business, again, is the adoption of a resolution for calendar number 3453, 809 Valley Street LLC, Block 4801, Lot 20.02. Applicant wishes to construct a one-story storage garage. Again, I'll ask the board members. At this time, are there any board members that would like to come forward and comment and make modifications or changes to the resolution as it has been written? Hearing none, may I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I move that this board adopt the resolution as written and accurately memorialized in the previous findings of this board.
Second motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Wiley.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Graves.
Yes.
Mr. Champy.
Yes. Our next order of business is calendar number 3447, Liberty Assets LLC, located at 1044 Willen Avenue, Block 309, Lot 11. Applicant wishes to subdivide and construct 2 new single-family dwellings and 1 new two-family dwelling, and it's carried for continued hearing from previous meetings. Mr. Pansula, as you know, I'd like to recuse myself from this case.
Yes, as a carryover from the first session, Mr. Champy did recuse himself due to a familiarity with some of the objectors, so he's stepping down. Mr. Wiley is the vice chair. We note for the record, Melody Scott and also the planning board member that weren't here at the initial did certify that they reviewed the tape on this matter, so they are eligible.
What is it for? This is the I'm leaving. I'll get it to you.
Henry, you going to shift to the middle? Gary, you got to leave the dais. Okay, Mr. Gassion, I think we can continue as counsel for the applicant.
Good evening. Just give me 30 seconds to talk to my client. I see there's 6 voting members. I just want to clarify that issue with my client, if I might.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to my client. We're ready to proceed. I just would ask that if at the end of the case, I defer the summation to another meeting where I could have 7 members, I would appreciate it. I'm not saying I will, but just if we can finish the case tonight, and I want to defer the vote until another meeting where 7 members would be present, I would like that option.
Well, so noted for the record. Let's see how it goes as we're here. Well, let's see. You're going to proceed tonight.
I'm ready to proceed.
We expected a 7th member. They dropped out at the last minute, which is why we had the planning board substitute member to make sure we had a
I
complement.
see your effort.
And we learned about 7:22 that it didn't happen, so.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to proceed then, Mr. Chairman, if I may. Mr. Chairman, members, council's name is Robert Gassion. The firm is Gassion Pomaco. You know that. I was here last time. I represent the applicant in this matter, Liberty Assets LLC. My client is the contract purchaser of 1104 Woodland Ave. We filed an application seeking preliminary and final major subdivision approval in order to demolish the existing structure on the property and subdivide into 3 parcels. The case was commenced on May 28, and you heard from George Castellans, the realtor for Liberty Assets, Adna Khan, the site engineer, and Ali Qureshi, the architect. An application for this lot was denied previously. The potential issue of re judicata was addressed at the last hearing and resolved. In order to develop as proposed, we need a D1 use variance for the 2-family because only 1 families are permitted, and a D5 variance. There are also C variances for insufficient square footage and insufficient width. The witnesses I will present tonight are Mr. Castellans to just review a couple of changes made pursuant to board requests, and then I will call on the engineer, Adnan Khan, to discuss the additional changes that were requested, and I may call on Negley Engineering for traffic, and for sure I will call Tom Rickey as my planning consultant. I'd like to call my first witness, Mr. Castellans.
For the record, I did mark A6, the revised site plan that was submitted through Mr. Gassion's office with revisions through June 11th. A7 is the stormwater management report that was submitted as well. And A8 are the architectural plans that were revised through June 6th of 2025. So we're through A8 for exhibits into the record. Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm? You were previously sworn, right?
Yes, sir.
For tonight's meeting, swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth.
Yes, sir.
And for the record, just state and spell your name, if you would, again, with your affiliation.
It's Jorge Castellans, Jorge Casalins, real estate broker representing the seller and the buyer for the property, and I'm the chairman of my zoning board, acting as a consultant for land use here.
Mr. Castellans, you testify on the first hearing with regard to this application.
Yes, sir, I did.
And were you familiar with the requested changes by both board members and interested citizens?
Yes, sir.
And as a result of those requests, were there certain changes made to the architectural plans presented and were revised plans submitted to the board?
Yes, sir. I'll go
And
through.
would you tell us what those changes are, the architectural changes?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairperson and members of the board. The changes that were made, as we've made a couple modifications to this application to try to listen to the concerns of the residents as well as the board. The first one actually came from your zoning officer, who made a note about the garage size not being compliant, and we don't want to seek any waivers if possible. So the garage was amended to be in compliance with the current code. The second change that was made was that the attic was partially finished and served as essentially another story, which was not allowed. We've gotten rid of that, and now it conforms to your code.
And the access to the attic is by
It's a
drop-down?
drop-down stair. It's essentially a storage like you would see in any regular unfinished attic, not what we had previously. The other change that was made is, and the engineer is going to go into it, it was in regards to the setback, just so that we can have all the conformity around. We try to make the application as clean as possible for this board and the neighbors.
I have no further questions of this witness, Mr. Chairman. Again, he testified previously, this was as to changes only.
Do any board members have any questions regarding this witness? Are there anybody in the public that would like to question this witness as regards to his testimony?
Hello, I'm Brian Cave, C-A-V-E, 1070 Woodland Avenue. I want it to be on the record, do you guys own this property yet?
No, we are the contract buyers.
Okay. And so if it doesn't go through, the sale falls through, correct?
That,
Irrelevant to this case. And again, this witness didn't testify about that. He testified last time.
Well, he did start the testimony last time, so I think we can allow a little leeway to the public to ask some follow-up questions of the owner representative.
that's not necessarily true. We're not sure how tonight goes, and the buyer has the right to purchase or not.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any, are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness as regards to his testimony?
Michael Zaccaria, 1064 Loudon Avenue. Whether this is relevant or not, what's the purchase price?
Objection, of course, it's irrelevant.
It's really not relevant to the land use aspect of the case.
It would be relevant.
Yeah, you can later tonight,
Sure, thank you.
you'll have the opportunity to make general comments about anything you want, and you can offer.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness as to his testimony?
I don't recall if.
Name,
oh, I'm
please,
sorry.
name and address.
Ellen Lieberman, 1085 Loudon Avenue. I don't recall you saying how many cars can be per driveway.
Yes, so that was one of the changes from last time. Originally, each unit had 4 cars in the driveway and plus 1 in the garage. However, hearing the feedback from the neighbors and the feedback from the board, to get rid of that front yard setback, we set it back to the right setback. Now it has 2 cars in the driveway and 1 in the garage, which is all exceeding the parking minimum that's required by the ordinance.
Okay, and were there changes to the number of bedrooms? I don't recall you saying.
No, no changes to that. Yeah.
Okay,
so-
so can I ask, it's 4 bedrooms in the 2 families and 3 bedrooms in the proposed single families?
So you have the second floor. This is what the floor plan, let me try to make it a little bigger here. So this is the floor plan for the single families, which would be on the Loudon side. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's all on the second floor, like a traditional colonial style home. And then for the 2 family, I'll scroll up to those. So this would be the floor plan. It's 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
3 bedrooms on the second level of the home. And this will be what the first floor looks like of each unit. So it's 3 bedrooms each unit on the 2 family and 4 bedrooms, very conforming to the neighborhood, 3 or 4 bedroom homes.
Okay. Are there any rooms that would be considered a study, a playroom, that have a closet?
There's a mud room coming from the garage, but that's very small. It wouldn't really be a study. We actually got rid of, I believe, the size to make the garage accommodate the proper size.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at the floor plan for the single families one more time. There's a study in the front, again, kind of small, just because it's where the garage enters into the home. I'll tell you what the size of that. 8 feet by 7, so very small study, just like a home office kind of thing.
Does it have a closet?
No, it does not.
Is there any other space in the basement or on any of the floors that are maybe 8 by 7 or bigger that have a closet, other than your designated bedrooms?
No, there are not. There's
Okay.
there's formal bedrooms. Everything else is what it's set out to be, and nothing that would accommodate what you're seeking, like an additional bonus. No,
Okay, thank you.
no problem. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness as to the testimony he's given?
I'm sorry. Mike Zachary again. You mentioned conformity. You made the drawing in conformity with the neighborhood. Do you have any drawings?
If you could speak into the microphone.
You mentioned conformity. The homes are in conformity with the homes in the neighborhood. Are there any drawings you have which show the other homes in the neighborhood?
When I mentioned conformity, I meant to the code that the Union Township has. So essentially, everything that the code has, we are conforming as much as possible, with the exception of the 40-foot, where most of them are 50, and the total square footage. As far as the, I guess, the aesthetics, these would be colonial-style homes. We do have a render. So this is what you're, when you see single families being constructed, essentially it's a nicer finish on the siding. It's like a hardy plank siding. Traditional colonial style, we have the bedrooms upstairs with a pitched roof. And they're A-frame homes, which is essentially what most single-family homes being built look like nowadays.
So in other words, there's no drawings which shows it in conformity with the neighborhood?
No, when I said conformity, I mean conforming to the ordinance. So here we're talking about variances. If we vary from the town code, we conform as much as possible to the code. That's what I was stating for conformity.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Good evening. Chris Baker, 640 Fairfield Way, Union. Just one question. How many bedrooms does the existing property have? I'm sorry, how many bedrooms does the existing
They need
property?
your name and your address for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chris Baker, 640 Fairfield Way.
So the currently the first floor unit has, it's actually like 3 stories in the first floor. It's a little weird, the design, because it's an old house that's been retrofitted. I believe that unit has 4 bedrooms, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second floor rear. The second unit has 3 bedrooms, and the third unit has 2 bedrooms. So 4, 3, 7, 2, 9 bedrooms in total, sir.
Okay,
To
thank
the
you.
best of my recollection, that is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness as to his testimony that he gave? Any other members? Any other members?
Thank you.
I'm going to call my next witness, that's okay, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Khan.
Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony he's going to provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
And you testified previously, correct?
That is
And just for the record, can you just state and spell your name?
Adnan Khan, Adnan Khan.
Mr. Khan, as was indicated, you were present at the last hearing on May 28th, correct?
That is correct.
And at that hearing, you heard comments from the board and interested citizens that led to changes in the plans.
That is correct.
Can you please review with the board and the interested citizen what changes were made?
Sure. Okay, these are the plans that were submitted as part of the revised package after the last meeting. And based on the comments we received in the last meeting, one of the variants that we were seeking is the rear yard variance for the lots. So what we did here is, and again, if you recall, we were having a tandem parking space arrangement for each house in the front. So what we did is, like, we pull the houses to the front towards the street, 25 feet from the property line, which meets the setback requirement, and that shortens each house by 2 parking spaces. So before, each house was getting 5 parking spaces. Now each house will have 3 parking spaces. So we eliminated the tandem parking spaces from the driveways. However, like the requirement for the number of bedrooms and the number of units we have, per the ordinance, the required parking is 9 spaces. We are proposing 12 parking spaces, so we are still 3 parking spaces over than what's required by the ordinance. Doing that, what happened is like it eliminated the rear yard setback for each of the houses. And now we are fully conforming with the rear yard setback of 25 feet. So that variance, if you look at it, like each house is 25 feet from the proposed lot lines, and we are complying with the rear yard variance. Also, while we were updating these plans, we went ahead and looked at the review comments from Collier's Engineering, and we addressed some of those changes for some of those comments. So these plans reflect Collier's engineering comments, including an installation of a dry well system for the house that was originally not proposed with a dry well system. So now all 3 houses will have their own stormwater management systems. And we comply with almost, I would say, 90% of the comments from the engineer's report. The other 10% comments are mostly housekeeping that the applicant has to comply either during construction or after construction or obtaining the permits.
Is it accurate that Colliers probably didn't get a chance to review your latest plans and still reflects an improper amount of parking spaces on their report?
That is correct.
Again, they just probably didn't get a chance to see the latest plans. Can you tell the board again, just so they understand, and the interested citizen, how many spaces do we have, and what was there before, and how Colliers just inadvertently carried the old plan?
Yeah, like again on our sheet C-01, we have a parking analysis. And as you can see, like 3 spaces are required for each unit, 3 bedroom units. The total requirement is for 4 units is 9 spaces, and we are proposing 12 spaces. Before these changes, there were 18 spaces proposed. So after eliminating 6 spaces, we still are over 3 spaces than required by the ordinance.
And inadvertently, Colliers carried more than the 12.
Yeah, they are, I think in the letter they state 15.
I thought that's what I read.
Yeah, but that is probably a typo on their end.
I have no further questions of this witness.
Board members have any questions?
Mr. Khan, good evening.
Hi.
The dry well that you are proposing, that system, would that handle a storm like Superstorm Sandy or Katrina? How well would that fare?
Probably not. The dry well system is designed based on the city or the town requirements. So whatever the requirements is, which is for 100-year or a particular depth of a storm. So they're designed for that as per the ordinance. Superstorm Sandy is one, I would say, probably now it's not one in a lifetime kind thing. But no matter how big a stormwater system you design, I don't think so. You can design something that can handle Sandy-like storms.
Mr. Khan, is 1044 Woodland Avenue, is that in a flood zone?
No.
No. Could you explain to me, because I don't know, what is the D5 variance?
We have a planner who will explain that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what is the height of the building now?
The existing, you mean?
What you're proposing now?
Okay, I can go over that. All right, so building height, it's 32 feet and 2 stories are allowed. For one lot is 32.6 and 2.5 story. The other lot is 29.87, 2 story, and the third is 29.89.
That conforms to code?
No, actually, we are seeking variance for some of them. Yeah.
Is there a need for NFPA?
I think I'd have to have the architect testify. I don't think it's in
Oh,
there.
okay.
Oh, sorry, my bad, yes, sorry,
sorry.
my bad. I was looking at existing. So the existing is non-conforming, it's 32.6 and 32.6, and 32 is required. For the proposed, the first house is 29.87, second is 29.89, and the third is 30.19. So all are under 32 feet.
So they are compliant.
Yes.
The existing house on the site is slightly out of compliance.
Okay.
We have nothing to do with that, obviously.
Okay, all right. So my other questions are for the planner?
If you are talking about the D5,
Yes.
that's it, yeah, the planner would answer those, but hopefully.
All right, and then we know about if this has to be with NFPA or 13R? Does this have to have a sprinkler system in the house?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer, I think the architect.
I'd have to have the architect
Yeah.
up, and obviously, if it's required, we will comply.
Thanks.
Are there any other board members that would like to question this witness? Are there any members of the public that would like to question this witness?
David Arminio, 1032 Woodland Avenue. Would you please go over the parking arrangements? How you said there were 3 over the minimum? How would you state those parking spaces?
Okay. Based on the ordinance, for 3-bedroom units, you need 2 spaces. Okay, per unit. For 3-bedroom, you need 2 spaces, and we have 2 3-bedroom units. So that translates to 6 spaces. Actually, 3-bedroom units require 2 spaces, and we have 2 units, so that translates to 4 spaces. 4-bedroom unit requires 2.5 space, and we have 2 4-bedroom units. So that reflects to 5 spaces. So if you add 4 plus 5, that's 9. 9 is required per the ordinance for this kind of development.
I thank you for that answer,
Yeah.
but can you tell me how the cars would be parked?
Sure. So I'm just going to take an example for one house, or let's say the duplex. So basically what we have is we have 18 feet wide driveway and 25 feet length of the pavement before you get to the house, because the house has to set at 25 feet, which is the front yard setback requirement. So in this 18 by 25 feet, you can easily park 2 parking spaces, two cars. In addition to that, we have a garage, 22 feet wide garage, and that will accommodate 1 car.
22 feet wide?
22 feet wide, and that's the requirement by the ordinance. And that was something that was discussed in the last meeting. Before, we had a smaller garage, but we were told like the minimum requirement is 22 feet, so now we are proposing 22 feet, actually 22 feet depth, sorry.
I think
Yes,
that's,
yeah.
I'm glad you corrected
Yeah,
that.
you know, and thank you very much. So 22 feet is the depth. So anyway, a car can...
And what is the width of that garage?
I would say it's probably around 8 feet, 8, 9 feet, but the architect probably can give you the exact dimension. So basically, 1 car will park in the garage and 2 outside. And again, there will not be tandem. They will be basically parallel to each other. So 3 cars per house.
And on the other,
Like 3 houses, each house. So if we have 4 houses, so 3 times 4 is 12. So we are proposing 12 spaces, whereas we need 9.
okay, thank you. I'll wait for my comments later. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness on testimony he's given?
Good evening, everyone. Arnie Delgado, 1084 Loudon Avenue. Arnie Delgado, 1084 Loudon Avenue. So just make sure I get this straight. The lot is 40. You're going to have 5-foot setbacks on either side. that makes it 30. You're gonna have 18 feet of parking. So you're gonna see the house 12 feet is all we're gonna see from the street.
Can you repeat that?
Okay, the lot is 40,
Right,
5-foot setbacks on either side,
right,
18 feet for parking, for the parking space.
you're right.
That leaves 12 feet for us to see that you're barely gonna be able to see that house in the street.
The parking is not separate. It is, the garage is attached to the
So
house.
there's gonna be 2 cars parked in front of the house.
Right.
So if I'm standing in front of the house looking at it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see 12 feet of the actual house
Yeah,
itself.
yeah, is there any typical arrangement for any single family or
Not-
two-family
not in-
houses?
Not in our neighborhood, but thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness on testimony he's given? Being none, counsel, do you have any other witnesses?
I just think I have to call the architect up again also to clarify a couple of things. Thank you. And
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me pause this.
Mr. Cresci?
Okay, ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth.
Yes, sir.
And you were here and previously sworn as well as a witness and qualified as an architect?
Yes, sir.
Just for the record, just state and spell your name.
Ali Qureshi, ALIQURESHI.
Mr. Cresci, you have to speak up a little bit more.
Okay.
Just a couple of questions. One, the height of the structure. The architect obviously is not completely familiar with. What is the height of the proposed structure?
So it's 30 feet 4 inches for
You gotta speak louder.
30 feet 4 inches. All 3 houses comply with the height, so they're less than 32 feet.
And then the other question that seemed to be a little bit open, the width of the driveway. The driveway. What's
Six-
the width of the driveway?
16 feet wide by
16 feet wide.
25 feet deep.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Does anybody on the board have questions for this witness?
Yes, sir. Can you answer what a D5 variance is? Is that?
No,
No?
no,
Not
no,
here?
no, no.
Okay.
Next witness.
All right.
So I'll
All
bring
right.
him next.
All right, so 30 feet, 4 inches, can I ask him that?
Sure.
Is that code compliant, 30 feet, 4 inches? Is that compliant, code compliant?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
All structures.
All 3 structures. Yep.
On this proposal, sir, the new structure, how far would it be from the existing structures? I guess 1048 Woodland or 1040 Woodland? How far would they be away from those new structures? How far would they be away from the existing structures?
Well, the existing structure is going to be demolished.
No. On the neighbor.
Can I ask,
Yes,
call
sir.
the engineer
Yes, sir.
back up to answer
Yes,
that
sir.
question?
Excuse me, Mr. Gassion? Can you talk into your mic? It's Anthony behind you.
I'm sorry. I said, can I call the engineer up to answer that last question about the adjacent property?
Yeah,
Mr.
first
Khan,
of
you
all,
heard Mr. Frain's question. Please respond.
yeah, one correction, the driveway width is 18 feet, not 16 feet, so I just want to confirm that.
Say that again, please, louder,
The
please.
driveway width is 18 feet wide and 25 feet deep.
Okay.
So that's just a correction I want to make. As far as the adjacent houses, we are meeting the setback for each house. The setback required from the property line, so we are meeting all those requirements for the new houses. As far as the exact distance from house to house, we don't have that measurement. We didn't survey the adjacent houses, so we don't know the exact distance from the new house to the existing next door house.
Well, we are completely compliant with the side yard requirements of the municipality. Is that
That is
correct?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yes. Yeah, we are complying. There is no variance required for that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other board members have questions for this witness?
Yes, I do have a question. So you all have changed the parking to, let's say, 3 cars. One can park inside the garage. Many people use their garage for storage, for example, right? So if the car is now parked outside, will we have an issue of hangover with another vehicle if they are parked one in front of the other? Will we have that issue?
don't understand.
Is there enough room to park? Why don't we let Mr. Khan seems to have understood the question. I call the engineer back up.
No, we eliminated that too. If you remember, there was a tandem parking before, so that was the concern raised last time. But now the depth is 25 feet. An average car is about 16 and a half feet long. So we have ample space behind the cars that there's not going to be any overhang beyond the property line.
And what if they have, let's say, a vehicle that's bigger, a truck of some sort?
Even SUVs like Suburban is 16 and a half feet. So that's why the engineering standard for parking space is 9 by 18. So that accommodates all these big, the
But this is
F-150s.
much larger than 19.
That is correct. It is 9 by 25.
I think the question, though, fairly is if someone doesn't use the garage that's allocated for parking, and you have a tandem situation from the property owner, would the second vehicle in tandem, if they decide to pull behind a car that's in the driveway, extend out into and block the sidewalk area? It would.
Yes.
I believe that was the context of the question.
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah, that would be the case.
Are there any other board members that would like to question this witness? Are there anyone in the public that would like to question this witness on testimony he's given?
Good evening, Kevin Betancourt, Kevin Betancourth. I live in 1036 Woodland Avenue. I'm right next to the property they're trying to fix or remodel. The main concern in our street, well, with the parking and stuff like that, we still have an issue. In front of my house, I don't have parking outside the street because there's a fire hydrant right in front of my house. So as soon as they built those two parkings, the first meeting that I'm sorry, let me go back. The first meeting that we had here, we all gave our thoughts and we're saying with 3 parkings wasn't enough. Then in the second one, they added to 5. Now they deducted to 3 again, like they made a difference. We're back at square zero. So the problem that I have with that is that they say they built a garage. Like we said before, nobody's gonna tell anybody here how we're gonna use a garage. If you look at the house, they don't have storage. Almost everybody in their houses uses this garage but the storage. So all the cars are gonna be outside in the street. We can only park in one side, and that Woodland Avenue with a permit. So that's a big, big concern. By my house being right next to it, now in the backyard, I'm seeing in the plans that there's 2 windows. This is 2 floor. Almost none of the houses are like 2 floors on that street. Everyone's like a 1, and there's no windows on the side of for the backyard. And right in my house is going to overpass my house, I would say half of my yard, and there's going to be 2 windows right in front of me. Me, the reason I came to Union and I lived in Elizabeth was because I liked the neighborhood, I knew. But now I'm concerned about a house being all on top of me. That's a big concern that I have. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness?
Ellen Lieberman again, 1085 Loudon Avenue. Kevin is correct. Even on Loudon Avenue, one side of all of our houses have no windows. So we don't see into each other's homes. Is that the case on these? Or do both sides have windows, both sides of the houses?
Well, we comply with the setbacks.
That wasn't
and
my
we complied
question.
with number of stories.
That
So
wasn't
we-
my question.
Are there windows on both sides of the house?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any ordinance that says that
You
there
would know
shouldn't
the
be?
answer to that? No, there is not.
They would have to be code compliant, otherwise they'd be asking for a variance tonight. So I don't think that aspect is regulated, otherwise there'd be a
Okay,
a
so
notice that would be required.
So it's just customary to the Township of Union that privacy was protected by building houses that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's typical even for additions, when you try to be a good neighbor in your construction, trying not to line up the windows with your neighbor, et cetera. It's tricky at times, for sure.
Point made, thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness on testimony he's given? Being none, do you have any other witness, Counselor?
Seeing none, I'd like to recall Mr. Castellans. He has listened to the questions and has a recommendation. Ali, we're done with the architect, and we're done with the engineer.
Yeah, so to the members that had those questions, the house on Woodland, maybe I could show it here, those have bigger setbacks on the side yards because the house doesn't go as far. So you can see here, it's actually 13 feet of setback from our property line. Let me try to zoom in if you can see it. So this is the adjoining dwelling next door. This is 13 feet where 5 feet is required. And we're willing on the second floor, those bedrooms that you talked about, Mr. Kevin Bethencourt? Yeah, those 2 bedrooms in the second floor bedroom. We have bedrooms that face the backyard, so we can eliminate those bedrooms that face the adjoining properties
Eliminate the
for
bedroom,
privacy.
eliminate the bedroom windows.
The bedroom windows, that's correct. So if you look at the two-family, so this is the one that's on Woodland Avenue. On the second floor, these are the 2 windows that you're referring to, right here. So we are able to eliminate these 2 and these 2, and we will still conform with building requirements because we can have egress windows on the rear facing the backyard of these owned properties. So that would eliminate your privacy concern. And on top of that, these are 13 feet from each property line. So they're further set back than the 5-foot requirement. Okay? I think that was it.
Are there any board members that would like to question this witness on this testimony he's given?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, no, ladies first.
So can you go back to that other diagram that you just had up regarding the windows?
Yes.
So you pointed out for the where it says bedroom 2, you can get rid of those windows, right? How about towards the front area where it says the master bedroom, where there's windows on the side? Will you be getting rid of those as well?
Those would not line up with the neighbor's backyard. So the privacy concern was regarding the backyard. So these would, and if I go back to the floor, you can see on the engineers. This is the adjacent dwelling. This is where that is. Those 2 back windows are back here. So those would be the ones that would be eliminated for privacy reasons.
Any other board members would like to question this witness?
Yes. I don't know if you have the answer for this, for NFPA 13R. Are you the person or not?
Yeah, I believe New Jersey code requires it for 3 families and up, but whatever the building requirements are, we will conform with.
Well, I know that Captain Guzman requested that, and I'm just wondering where that would be with regards to the planning. Where does that tank go?
Got it. Mr. Manguso?
I can answer that question as far as the Uniform Construction Code. If it's 3 stories or more, not 3 families, if it's 3 stories or more, a sprinkler system is required. I think that came about in the very first blueprint when there was 3 stories, and I questioned it. That's an ask from the fire department.
So it doesn't have to be.
Not by code. It's only 2 stories.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other board members that would like to question this witness? Being none there, are there any members of the public that would like to question this witness? And none, Counsel, you have any other witnesses?
I do. I think there's been some discussion about D5. I want to call Mr. Ricky McLean.
Thank you, sir.
I also have a traffic expert, but there really doesn't seem to be any traffic questions. I think the planning questions are the ones that are relevant.
Good evening. Could I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name with your affiliation?
Sure. My name is Thomas Ricci. Last name is spelled R-I-C-C-I. I'm a planner at Stonefield Engineering Design. Our business address is 92 Park Ave in Rutherford, New Jersey.
Indicated you're a planner. Are you a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
And for how long have you been in that field?
I've been in the field for approximately 8 years. I've been licensed for approximately 4.
You've been testifying before planning boards and zoning boards on a regular basis.
Over 100.
And you've been accepted as an expert in the field of planning on each and every occasion.
Yes, I have.
Mr. Chairman, I assume.
We accept
Thank
this
you.
contentious.
Mr. Ricky, would you please review the existing site circumstances?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And in doing so, I just want to share an aerial exhibit that we prepared because I think it'll help orient the board. So I'm going to eject this. It doesn't look like there's a spot here. You know what? I'll remove the mouse. Hold on. Just one moment.
This is a new exhibit. We'll do A9 for the record if it's a planner's exhibit. Aerial.
So for the record, this is going to be marked as A9. This is an aerial exhibit that was prepared by Stonefield Engineering and Design, and this document is dated May 28th, 2025.
Please continue with your description of the existing site.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So we can see the subject site. It's outlined here in the middle of the page in magenta. This existing property, it's a single tax lot that is 16,000 square feet in area. One of the things that we noticed when looking at this aerial is that this property is by far the largest lot on the block. Notably, it's also what we call a through lot, meaning that it extends to 2 streets, both on Loudon to the top of the page and then Woodland Avenue on the bottom of the page. On top of that, it's also wider than the prevailing lot size in the area. The prevailing lot size, it varies in the area. I acknowledge that, but most of the lots are in that 50 to 54, 55 feet wide range. So 50 by 100, that's most of what we see out here. The majority, this one is 80 feet wide by 200 feet deep. So a little bit wider and twice as long than the surrounding lots. On the property right now, there's an existing 3-family dwelling. It's pretty centrally located on that property. And then to the rear of the property towards Loudon, which is also the front, there's a small parking area and a detached garage that's being used for the 3-family dwelling.
Now, can you review the proposal?
Sure. Just to remind the board, the applicant proposes to subdivide this lot, create 3 new lots, and build 2 single-family dwellings, both on 4,000 square foot lots, which will front on Loudon, and then on Woodland, 1 8,000 square foot lot, which will have the duplex.
Can you give us a project overview?
Yeah, so we're in front of the board tonight seeking a D1 use variance. 2-family dwellings are not permitted in the RA residential zone. So for this type of variance, the appropriate test that we apply to D1 use variances is what we call the Medici standard. And what the Medici standard requires us to show is that the site is particularly suited for the proposed use and that the project meets at least one or more purposes of the municipal land use law. So as I move towards the discussion on the variances, particularly the site suitability test, I want to focus again on the lot characteristics. There's a lot of unique characteristics at play here for this lot that I think distinguish it from all the other lots in the zone. First and foremost, as I mentioned, it's oversized. 16,000 square feet currently, where the majority of the lots are about 50 by 100, so 5,000 square feet. So it's a some are slightly wider, 5,500 square feet. That was about 75% of the lots that I looked at is in that 5,000 square foot range. So this is much bigger than the prevailing size in the area. Secondly, as I mentioned, it's currently a through lot, meaning it fronts on 2 streets. This configuration is very odd. It's very atypical for a single-family residential property to have access on two different streets because you essentially have two fronts, and you would be looking at either the rear of the building or, in this case, in the existing condition, the detached garage. And then lastly, as I mentioned, it's developed right now with a three-family dwelling, which is a use that I'll just mention is also not permitted in the zone. And that structure is located right in the middle of the property. So when you actually look at the development pattern, it's the one that's different than everybody else. It's the disruptor of the development pattern because it has these large yard areas both in the back of the building and in the front of the building because it's centrally located. So in my opinion, by redeveloping the lot with the proposed structures in the proposed locations, in my planning opinion, I think brings the property, although we acknowledge we have some variances, it brings it closer into conformance with both the zoning ordinance and with the character of the neighborhood, because we're proposing buildings that are lining up with the rest of the existing building lines going down both of these streets. So in my opinion, once again, I think it's a unique lot, but because of those reasons is why I think that we meet the threshold for the D1 use variance, and it meets the particular suitability test for the D1 use variance.
Any master plan issues you think come into play here?
Yes, I do. So the master plan was developed relatively recently. It was adopted on March 25th, 2021. And in the land use goals section, as with most master plans, it talks a lot about housing and what the future of housing should look like. Now, the first goal of that plan, and I'll read it into the record. It says, maintain the character of existing residential neighborhoods while providing opportunities for housing types that meet the interests and needs of all ages and all abilities. And then it goes on to say, recognize the viability of and the need for alternatives to detached single-family homes, two-family dwellings, and other housing configurations in existing neighborhoods, and as part of redevelopment, should be continued, where this will not undermine other objectives. So the way that I see it is that the housing goals in the land use plan calls for mixing up the diversity of housing. And it specifically mentions two-family dwellings where appropriate, where it doesn't mind under objectives. And I think we do that here. I think we propose a two-family on a large lot in a really, we have a unique scenario here, and I don't think that it undermines the goals. It's vague on undermining the other objectives, but I imagine the other objectives are preserving the character of the RA zone. I don't think we go against those because if you remember, when we look at the bulk requirements that control the building placement, the building size, the building height, we comply with all of those things, and we over-comply in some areas. We comply for the single-family lots, we comply with lot depth. We comply with the front yard setback. We comply with the side yard setback. We comply with rear yard, building height, building coverage, impervious coverage, and we over-comply with the parking. Now with the duplex, we comply with the lot area, lot width, lot depth, front, side, and rear yard setbacks, building height, building coverage, impervious coverage, and parking. So I think that is a good litmus test, if you will, when determining if the site can hold the use. And I think we've built or proposed a plan that balances the two objectives. I think it greatly respects the zoning ordinance, and I think it also tries to achieve that master plan goal, which is promoting a variety of housing types, as long as you can fit it on the lot, which we've demonstrated that we have.
Mr. Fran asked a question before about D5. Is there a D5 density variance involved here?
Yeah, D5 is a density variance. There is no density variance involved with this application, as the RA district does not have a density standard. we're held to the more stringent D1 use variance test. You're
And
welcome.
as to the D1, there are special reasons that you feel apply to this application. You've done a great job, but are there also special reasons?
Yes, I think purpose A, which is promoting the general welfare, that is, the fundamental purpose of the municipal land use law. And I think we're doing that by promoting these variety of housing options and fulfilling that master plan goal in a way that's not disruptive to the rest of the neighborhood. And I think purpose I, which is promoting a desirable visual environment and good civic design, we're proposing beautiful new homes of high quality that I think fit in better because they're placed better on the block than what's currently existing. So I think purpose A and I think purpose I are both advanced.
Now, you listed a very long list of bulk requirements that were met.
Mhm.
Are there any bulk variances that still are needed?
Yes, minimum lot size, and that there's a variance for each of the single-family lots, and then the minimum lot width, also both for the two single-family lots.
And would you review the reasons for the granting of the bulk variances?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're so tied to my discussion on the use variance and the existing conditions on the lot. But just to reiterate, we have this oversized lot. We're subdividing the lot. Although it's not perfectly in conformance, we acknowledge that, we recognize that. In my opinion, I think it is closer to the character of what you see out here in the placement of the homes while still trying to achieve that master plan goal and while still protecting the RA zone. So I think with regard to the C variance, we have this, they could be granted under what we call the C2 benefits versus detriments test, where the benefits of the project must substantially outweigh the detriments. And I think we have the benefit of compliance with the bulk and building requirements, achieving that master plan goal and doing it in a way that doesn't substantially impact the neighborhood. So I think that balancing test, there's always going to be impacts. I think that balancing test, though, is met because the positives and the conformance with the rest of the bulk substantially outweighs the negative impacts.
Can you review the negative criteria?
That was pretty much everything that I just mentioned. I can, but it's going to be.
I think just for the record.
Yeah,
cover a couple of points.
I'd be happy to read it in the record. So the variances can't be granted unless we demonstrate a two-pronged test. And the test is that the variances can't be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and substantial detriment to the zone plan. And as I mentioned, I think when we're looking at the public good piece, we're compliant with, we're able to hold the parking, we're able to comply with the setbacks, we're able to stay under the coverage, we're able to stay under the height. So I think all of those things in tandem protect the public good. And then with regards to the master plan, I don't think we go against it. I think we're actually aligning with those housing goals in the master plan. So I think the negative criteria has also been satisfied.
Last question.
Sure.
Give us your conclusion.
It's like I mentioned. We acknowledge that that we have a use variance here, but I think there's two main items at play. There's the zoning ordinance requirements, and then there's the master plan goals. And I think what we're doing here is balancing the two without disrupting what the zone plan intends to protect for the residential character. I understand that there has been discussion on a new building that's going to potentially be closer to existing homes. But this building complies. The buildings, they're all within the building envelope. This could be, the duplex could have been a very large single family, and it's still within that building envelope with regards to setbacks, height. It's under the amount of coverage. It's under the amount of pervious. So I think when looking at it from that perspective, we really have to grapple with the use here, which is adding an extra family on the block. That's really it, is really adding an extra family, because the massing in the building and the impervious is not being increased over what the zoning allows. It's the extra family. And what the master plan says is introduce a variety of housing options. And I see this in a lot of master plans because housing is unaffordable and is very, very tough. So you introduce things like duplexes, and it gives people another option. So I think that's a positive thing that advances the general welfare of New Jersey citizens, which is what the municipal land use law fundamentally tries to achieve.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Does board members have any questions for this witness?
Sir, first of all, you do very nice work, I have to say.
Thank you.
My question to you, sir, you have a two-family, and then on the other side, you want a variance. How come you just didn't have two families, just out of curiosity?
I can't speak on behalf of why the proposal is in the configuration that it is, because, yeah, I do recognize why it wasn't either duplexes or just single family. To be honest, I wasn't involved in the early stages of planning this project, and I only have what I have to review, at this current moment.
Thank
you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Ritchie, this is Rob Pansul, the board attorney. I just want to, since you're the planner and you offered some legalese, you realize that the master plan is but a roadmap for the ultimate passage of zoning ordinances in the township, correct?
That is correct.
It doesn't govern, and in fact, in this instance, the RA zone does not permit the two-family use, correct?
Correct.
That's why we're here for the D1.
That's correct.
Would you also agree that if it was a two-lot subdivision instead of a three, I think as the board member was suggesting there, that the lot area that would then become conforming?
The lot area would,
For all the lots, so two instead of three.
So 2 lots, yeah, they would
So this
be-
is a self-imposed hardship of creating more lots with bulk variances tied into the D1. There's really two aspects to this, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. If we did 2 lots, the lots would conform. They'd actually be greater than conforming.
Right.
But,
But it's greater now. It would be, but you highlighted the standard in the neighborhood as 50 to 55, if I heard you correctly, as a norm. We have 2 lots now being proposed here at 40, which is deficient to what, not only is the standard, but deficient to what exists in the neighborhood?
That's correct.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify on those issues since they were legal in nature.
Any other board members
Yes.
would like to question this witness?
Hi, good evening, I'm Melanie Scott. You did a very good job, but however, you did say at the end that it was adding an extra family, but based on the proposal, I think you guys are adding several extra families. Can you correct me if I'm wrong with
So,
that?
yeah, I could clarify that. So we have 4 units that are being proposed in this configuration, and there's a 3-unit building that exists now. So there's 3 units now. If this were to be approved and constructed, it would go to 4 units, and that's essentially the crux of the D variance, is because one of them is in a duplex configuration. So it's adding, the delta is 1 unit on the block. Does that help?
Yeah, but I guess I go back to what the attorney also said. So then why 3 separate structures? I think because the way I'm hearing the community is that they're feeling like it would be aesthetically unpleasing because you have all of this new traffic coming in. So you talk about the amount of cars, the amount of people. So I would just, that's because you said it so casually, like we only just added 1 family, but it just seems like so much more than 1 family, even though it's a 3-family house and you're adding 1 additional, but you're adding 1 additional family and appears to now, one 2-family and 2 single families with a whole lot more traffic and a lot, just the density just seems to be a little much now.
I respectfully have to disagree because we have a resident, we're adding 1 unit, and residential uses typically, and I'm not a licensed traffic engineer. I don't want to speak as a licensed traffic engineer.
No, we don't have to. I'm just asking the question.
In my planning opinion, the traffic increase would be de minimis, probably not measurable because you're adding a single unit, and you're having, if you have a couple cars on that lot, you're adding 1 or 2 trips out and probably a couple back in on a daily basis. Once again, that is, in my planning opinion, not my traffic professional engineering opinion, but I just don't see this being a large impactor of traffic, just 1 extra house or 1 extra unit.
Any other board members would like to question this witness? Any other board members? Are there any members of the public that would like to question this witness?
David Arminio, 1032 Woodland Avenue. You used the word, I think, over 20 times that I counted, and the word opinion about 5 times. And I grant you that you are an expert, you gave your credentials, I understand that. And since you brought up traffic on the street, I remember a traffic consultant and traffic expert who came before this board and said that the Vermella project would add no significant traffic to Morris Avenue. So you can object. Yes, it does. He brought up the traffic. I didn't. But he talked about it would not increase the traffic on the street. So I think I could say, answer him. Are you arguing with me? Let them say that you object.
The objection's noted. I mean, you can phrase your question, sir, to the witness on testimony he provided.
Okay, thank you. You didn't, to go back to the original statement you made about the original house that's on the property now, that was built way before there were any codes in Union. That house is extremely old. There was no code, and it was the first house on the street.
One more time, I'm going to object. Obviously, I'll stop.
Right, the time now is to ask questions.
I am going to ask a question.
You'll have the ability to comment on those particulars were not testified by the witness. You can phrase the question.
I'm leading up to the question.
No.
But he talked about the size of the lot and the place of that structure on the lot.
Correct.
And it was put there.
Your question is a completely different question. Again, I object.
You could phrase the question. Go ahead, phrase the question in a way he can answer based on testimony he provided.
Do the new structures, obviously they meet the code except for the variances that you seek, whereas the older house did not, correct?
The older house is also a non-permitted use, so it does not meet the use standards of the district. With regards to...
And why doesn't it meet the standards?
Most likely because it could predate the standards. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. It does.
Any other members of the public would like to question on the testimony he's given?
I'm Brian Cave, 1070 Woodland Avenue. Did you go and walk this neighborhood in person?
I did twice.
Okay. Did you go at nighttime and try to park?
I went at probably the first time 5:30 p.m. and the second time was today before this hearing, probably around 6:30.
So before people get home from work. From the Loden side of the property, if you're looking at the property from Loden, what is the lot size of the property to the right?
Let me check.
I have it if you want to make it faster. It's 80 by 100. To the right of that property, what is the lot size?
Let me give the witness a chance to answer the question.
80 by 100.
And then to the lot to the right of that one?
55 by 100.
And to the right of that one?
55 by 100.
And to the right of that one?
60 by 100.
And to the right of that one?
50 by 100.
And to the right of that one?
85.39 by 100.
All right, so would you say that an 80-foot wide lot is conforming if we just leave it as an 80-foot wide lot instead of two 40-foot wide lots?
80 foot is conforming because, yes, it meets the minimum requirement.
Right, and that's much more going with the neighborhood, correct?
Incorrect. My testimony was that we looked at the lot widths and the lot areas of all of the lots on both sides of the block. And what we found was that 75% of them fall within the 5,000 to 5,800 square foot range. And I know that we're under that
But my argument was that even though our lot is 80 feet wide and 60,000 square feet in area, it's still the outlier on the prevailing lot size when looking at all of the lots in this neighborhood. And for the record, that's houses on both sides of Loudon.
Bring the microphone with you so we can.
That's houses on both sides of Loudon Ave and the houses that front on Woodland Ave.
But to the right of it, a majority, or at least half, are 80 feet wide, or
No, that's
or larger than 50 feet wide.
So let me answer the first part. Half are not 80 feet wide. Not including our lot, in the lots that I just previously mentioned that we looked at, only 4 are 80 feet wide out of the 52.
All right, so let me rephrase the question. How many of the lots to the right of your lot are larger than 50 feet wide?
3.
No.
He's answered your question.
But it's wrong.
Right?
You'll have the opportunity to supply information contrary to his testimony.
So well, then let me ask again, to the first property to the right is what? How wide is that?
So the right, I guess the right, if you're on Loden or on Woodland?
Right, Loden to the right.
Loden to the right, 80 feet.
And to that, next to that?
80 feet.
And next to that?
55 feet.
Next to that?
55.
And next to that?
60 feet.
Next to that?
50 feet.
Next to that?
85.39 feet.
So out of those, how many are wider than 50 feet?
4.
5.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness?
Kevin Betancourt, 1036 Wilton Avenue. Just when you said that it was just an extra family in each block, we already have a big parking problem in our street because the colleges, the university is in front of us, so we already don't have parking. And for that extra family, it's not just to say, oh, it's another extra family, so I felt it. Thank you.
More council.
No, it's okay, I just grabbed my notes.
Ellen Lieberman, 1085 Loudon Avenue. So Brian pointed out, or I think Dave pointed out, in your opinion, so do you have any facts to support that the additional cars that will be there will not impact the neighborhood?
No, what we do is we try and follow the code. The code gives us our parameters on which we should look to design to. And towns and municipalities adopt codes in order to protect residents, in order to serve the general welfare. So what we do is we look at the code and we quantify how many parking spaces are going to be required, and we try and meet that requirement, and in this case, exceed it. Can I tell you that parking will not be impacted? I can't say how many cars someone would have, but this is a compliant application with regards to parking, and it's over compliant. It's over compliant.
Are you aware that the town's own master plan says that approximately 85% of Union residents commute?
I was not aware of that.
Okay. So that would add into the number of commuters. And I do have to comment that the existing house does not have families in the house. There is one person that lives on the top floor, one person that lives in the middle floor, and one person that lives on the lower floor. So essentially, you're increasing the number of people and the number of cars by well over 55%, according to what would be normal. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question the witness on his testimony.
Mike Zachary, 1064 Loudon Avenue. Two quick questions. How many variances are needed for the current design?
We have one D variance and we have four C variances, and that's for 3 different lots.
You mentioned the possibility if there was one home on Loudon and one home on Woodland, how many of those variances would be needed then?
Depends how they designed it.
If the lot is 80 by 100, and Woodland would also be 80 by 100.
The lot areas and the lot,
be needed?
sorry.
Would those variances be needed?
No, lot area variances or lot width variances would not be needed.
So it would be more compliant than what's there now?
It would
Or
be,
what's proposed?
it would comply with the zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Oh, second question.
Sure.
The drawing that you have up there, are there any drawings that you would have that show the 3 homes that are proposed? Because that's the only drawing we could see of the homes. I haven't seen any yet. Do you have a drawing that you could show the board?
Of the site plan or of the architectural plans?
Of the...
You want the
that
homes
shows the
on
2
the
homes
aerial?
and, yeah, the 2 homes and whatever that duplex is with all the homes next to it.
Unfortunately, that wasn't a drawing that we prepared.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness on testimony he's given? None. Do you have any other witness, Counselor?
I just want to ask Scott if she'd like to have a traffic expert, if you think that's relevant, I certainly would. I think it's a de minimis situation, but if you think that's relevant, I'll call him up.
No, I do not, sir. I said, no, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Then I have nothing. I would like, obviously, after the interested citizens talk, the opportunity to sum up.
You have a question?
The lawyer's asking you a question. The lawyer's asking you a question.
You asked me a question?
No, the board, Henry, the public is allowed to offer comments. That's
Right,
that's
that's-
Mr. Gassion, you have no more witnesses tonight,
I
correct?
have no more witnesses except I have a traffic expert.
traffic
reserved
engineer's here.
In case anybody wants such.
Traffic engineer is here, noted for the record. Ms. Scott had a particular question relevant to overflow and impact. Some of the public had some comments, but you're going to rest on the de minimis factor in the
No, I can-
testimony
yeah,
of the
I
planner.
certainly can call him.
It's up to you.
The question is, how many traffic movements will come from one house? I think that's inconsequential, but I can call a traffic expert to
Right.
testify.
No, and I understand you and I don't make the record. I agree what exists, and we heard a lot of commentary, and we've been here more than one night. The legally existing 3-family house is one aspect of this, and then the 4 units that are proposed tonight is what the board is considering. The planner summarized that, so that's what the board has to deliberate on ultimately. The standards require 2. They're proposing 4, and what exists is 3. So that's
I think
the
you're to call a
case.
traffic expert then, just for that one issue.
I would, since it came up, we can hear what he has to say about it. Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name with your affiliation?
August Matarazzo, M-A-T-A-R-A-Z-Z-O, Neglia Group.
And it's traffic engineering, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Matarazzo, your business address and your occupation.
34 Park Ave, Lyndhurst, New Jersey.
You're licensed engineer of the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
And have you testified previously in front of boards as the municipal consultant engineer on a regular basis?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I submit...
Yes, we accept this
Thank you.
applicant.
Mr. Matarazzo, you heard the questions with regard to intensity of traffic. Can you please review the issue of the number of traffic movements that would come from one of these units on a daily basis, expected number based on records?
Certainly. So for a typical single-family home, during a peak hour, the number of expected vehicle trips, this would be the vehicles entering and exiting the property. During a peak hour, the number of trips would be ranging from 2 to 3 during a peak hour. So that would be morning, evening, midday Saturday, 2 to 3 for any one of these.
And when you say peak hour, you're talking about probably a 2-hour stretch from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. Is that what the peak hour is?
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions of this witness.
Any board members have questions they want to address this witness on?
Sure. Sir, with this proposed application, what do you see, how much of an increase in traffic will it be?
From an increase, well, it's an existing 3-family. I know that in terms of occupancy, it's on the lower end of occupancy. If we were to take it at its full occupancy, existing trips would be somewhere of 9 trips in and out. We're increasing it to proposed of 4 units, so that would be an increase of an additional 3 trips in grand total of things.
And are you under the scope of parking as well? Do you do that as well? Do you analyze that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there an increase in parking?
There would be an increase in the parking supply. Currently existing, they have a 2-car garage, and in the parking driveway that is off Loudon, they have space for 3 cars. Proposed, they would have enough capacity to meet the zoning ordinance, which would be for 12 spaces.
So, but do you think it's going to increase parking on Woodland and Loudon?
They would have enough capacity per ordinance.
So you're saying they wouldn't even have to use?
They wouldn't have to.
Statistically speaking?
Statistically speaking, they wouldn't have to touch the on-street parking.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other board members that would like to question this witness?
Yes. It's probably hypothetical, but can you guarantee that the people won't be parking on the street so the people that are in the garage can get out and keep their cars on the street?
Are you asking that, would that be if people parking on the street would be blocking their driveway?
No, if you've got people parking in the garage, correct? If they use the garage and then someone's behind him in the driveway, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So how's that person in the garage going to get out without that car being moved and probably parked on the street, which will increase parking on the street?
So typically what would happen is the residents of the home would coordinate amongst themselves the shifting of cars. If someone, say, is parked in the garage, they need to leave for work, but whoever's parked in the garage or parked in the driveway
Typically.
Doesn't need to leave for work or school at that time, they would pull out, person in the garage leaves for work or school, and then they would pull back into the driveway.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Just for the record, my client would certainly, if this were approved, agree to a condition that the garages could not be used for storage. That would be a violation if they were, so that they would always be available for vehicles.
Thank you.
I just have a concern. I know you might say that, but I know a lot of property owners will use that as storage rather than a car. Because it's just common sense. I got too much furniture, I'm going to put my furniture or whatever in my garage. And I would be concerned that that would be the thing that might occur in these new homes that are built. People are going to automatically put furniture, bikes, whatever, in that garage rather than, utilizing it as a car.
Mr. Graves, if it were made a condition of any approval, should there be an approval, that would result in a potential municipal violation for a code violation cited by the zoning office or construction office if they violate it. So, yes, has it happened in history? Sure. There are people that don't use their garages to park. But this has an excess of parking of 3 spaces, and we're willing to make it a condition. So I think we'd pretty much be forcing people to park on site, and we wouldn't have a problem. Obviously, I don't look into the future.
Well, I appreciate that the applicant is offering it as a condition, but I'll just add legally, that's a very tricky, if not close to impossible, enforcement mechanism for a code enforcement official to determine whether or not a single-family property owner is using its garage to park vehicles as compared to storage.
I disagree. Despite the eminent counsel, I disagree. The
Just as a practical
construction
matter,
issue, I
either
don't-
way, the board needs to deliberate on the fact of impact to the neighborhood, and we've heard testimony from the traffic engineer about what that might mean. I think that's what we need to do. The condition is offered, it's noted for the record, but I just think,
But the
as a
construction
practical matter,
officials technically could look at such things.
they offered a condition to assure that the property owner would use the garages for parking vehicles as opposed to storage. And I just said, my legal opinion is that as a practical matter, enforcement will become very difficult.
That is,
Not impossible.
as the construction official, yes, that would be very tough to,
I understand.
to,
But if you wanted to, you could. It's difficult.
I don't,
Very difficult.
yeah, I don't know how I could, but
More than you could.
Are there any other members of the board that would like to question this witness? Are there any members of the public that would like to question this witness on his testimony?
Good evening, Kathy Arminio, 1032 Woodland. Hi, Mr. Matarazzo, how are you? Good. You used a term I didn't know, pulling in and out during peak hours, right? I think that was it?
Yes.
Okay. Our neighbors who live in a small house, just like ours, 3 bedrooms, have 5 vehicles. What is their peak pulling in and out rate or number? What would theirs be?
Would there be a single-family home?
Oh, yes, it's a single-family home,
So,
5 cars.
so for them, typical trip generation would still be 2 to 3 trips per peak hour.
So that's 10, right? You're saying 10 to 15?
No, it would be 2 to 3, regardless of how many vehicles they have stored.
Oh, no, not stored, used. They use 5 vehicles.
Right, they have 5 vehicles parked, but the amount
Right.
of vehicles that would be leaving their property or entering their property would be 2 to 3. So,
Okay, okay. I just wanted a little bit more explanation what that meant.
sure. So a vehicle trip is when a car enters or exits a property. So say, coming here, for example, a trip would be pulling into a parking lot or leaving the parking
Okay.
lot. So for a single-family home, it would be any car pulling into a driveway or leaving the driveway, regardless of how many cars are parked in the lot itself.
Oh, okay. So you're saying just twice a day you go in and out, and that's it?
Right, based
Okay,
off of
okay.
industry standards.
I was just curious. I guess you stay home a lot, huh?
No, I commute every day.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question this witness on testimony he has given? And, Counselor, you have any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Mr. Chairman. Again, I'd like an opportunity to sum up after the objectors are heard.
All right, now's the time for the public comment, so if the public can come up, and once again, even if you've been up before, state your name and address, and I'm going to ask you to swear or affirm that any testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth.
I swear.
And for the record, once again, just your name.
Brian Cave,
Thank you, Brian.
1070 Woodland Avenue.
Thank you.
And then I have a USB to have a presentation.
You have something you want to mark? You have an exhibit?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a copy for Mr. Gassion as well?
I do. All right, before I get started, I would like everyone to stand who I'm speaking on behalf of tonight, please.
How many roughly do we have? Do we want
So
to?
for the record, see, we just got it together to consolidate so you don't have a bunch of people coming up here to speak.
No, I appreciate that, and we, just for the record, as the board attorney, I know we've had several sessions where the public has been here, and we've guided them accordingly, so this
All right.
is a good way to proceed, actually.
Right.
So can everybody except for the 4 families that live right next to the property sit down? So those of you who have houses right next to the property, raise your hand so they know you're part of that. Back there, that there, and Kevin, yes. All right, so those are the 4 families that are affected by this the most because they live right next to the property.
Overall, I would say there's at least 20. I mean, I was trying to do a quick count. Would that, Mr.
Also,
Gassion?
We did send in a petition that was signed by a lot of the neighbors.
Yeah, the petition gets tricky. We did acknowledge that. It came into the building department. As I said at the last meeting, Mr. Gassion has the right and the applicant has the right to question people, but we can generalize, because there are a number of people here tonight, that there was at least 20 that stood up in conjunction with the testimony you're going to offer here. So that's a wise way to proceed. I think that's appropriate. Okay. And we'll note your presentation. You said you had hard copies of that you were given?
Yeah, I have it. Right.
I'll mark that 01 for the record, just so it's part of our record. Yeah, if I can get a copy of that, thanks.
So this neighborhood, I moved here 9 years ago, but the majority of these people have been here like 30 years and more, or 40 years and more. You know, I know people from the 60, 50 years, you know, been in this neighborhood, so it's a tight-knit neighborhood. Our mission is to maintain our neighborhood's distinct character and vibrant community. We will work to ensure that any development respects our shared values and protects the qualities that make our neighborhood a special place to live for future generations. Our concerns, we had 3 concerns, but one of them is moot point now that they moved the property to the 25-foot line. But 2-family home area zoned and a single-family home, we are not happy about that. We just don't think it's right for the neighborhood. And the 40-foot by 100-foot size lots, we do not think is good for the neighborhood. As I said earlier, there are other lots that are larger than the 50-foot in the neighborhood. So it's kind of consistent from 50 feet up to 80 feet. And then if you pass this variance and let it be, you're setting a precedent for future buyers for the other 4 80 by 100 lots currently on Loden Avenue. What's to stop anybody else from coming to say, hey, we want to tear down this house and divide it into 2 40-foot lots? You know, or I want to, you know, tear it down and build 2-family homes on these 80-foot lots. You're setting a precedent by doing this. And I do know in the Putnam Manor neighborhood they tried to do this, and you guys stopped it. The other thing I would like to note is that this property was never put on the market for others to have an opportunity to maybe have ideas of what to do with the property. I did include in this thing, so you can look at it later, but the lot sizes. And one thing we wanted to talk about is the green belt behind our houses. All of us are backyard users. We grill, we hang out, we have parties in our backyard. We are a very fun neighborhood. We are. Adding this in, so when you were asking about an aerial view, I kind of created my own version. This is not to scale, but it kind of gives you the idea of how these backyards still now, because the 25-foot setback, even though it's compliant, is not conforming with what most of the houses are. Most of our houses are like at the 30, 40 foot off of the property line. We all have nice sized backyards. So by adding this, you're adding these people in the yards next to it are going to be looking at a 2-story structure from their backyard now. Our solution, and what we would be open to, is 2 80-foot, 100 lots with single-family homes. That's one driveway on each. You know, that could be a 4-car driveway because they have more space now. And we want to state that variances should only be granted in cases of genuine hardship unique to the property, not for the convenience or increased profit of a developer. A variance should be only when there's no other option for the lot. And there are other options. But the property's never been put on the market for others to present. What's to not say someone is willing to buy it and renovate the farmhouse and make it a single family?
or I don't know if they tore it down, I don't think they can rebuild the three-family because it's no longer code. So if someone tears it down, it has to be a single-family home. This is our proposal. You know, we would rather just see two 80-foot lots with two single-family homes. And we feel that that fits in with the neighborhood, and it would just, you know, whoever moves in is going to join our community and be able to party with us in our backyards. So thank you.
Any board members have questions of the witness? Mr. Gassion, any questions of the witness, or should we ask for another public comment? No. Thank you. And he did represent the interest of all of you, so that's noted for the record. So let's not try to be repetitive. You have the right to comment, of course. Just come up the same way. Yep. That other mic, if you would. Well, he might have to talk. Can I ask if you can swear or affirm that any testimony you can provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
It is.
And for the record, one more time, if you could just state and spell your name.
Ellen Lieberman, 1085 Loudon Avenue.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for acknowledging that you received the petition, which gave a number of points of objection to the way that this is being proposed and the variances that are being sought. Can I ask, has the planning board seen the petition and our objections?
No, it's something that came in through to the board of professionals. The reason that it can't be circulated to the board is because the people who signed the petition need to be here to have the opportunity for question and answer. It is acknowledged, though, and the numbers I know, it was at least double from the people who were here present this evening. So there are a number of bodies that executed it, but the turnout is still good, and I've noted it for the record as the board attorney.
Okay, thank you.
If you could summarize it, certainly. That's what we need you to do.
That'd be great. I counted 56 houses between Woodland and Loudon. 54 of those houses, and I'm not counting people because there's many more people in a house and they also signed, but representing each house, 54 of them signed an objection to this development. And as you know, some of them are here today.
Object to the reference to the number of people who signed.
You got to go into the mic.
Thank you for your objection. We object to what you're planning.
It's noted for the record, Ms. Lieberman, so you have done your due diligence in terms of authenticating what it is you're commenting on.
Oh, it's okay. I don't want to take more time. So as Brian said, my understanding of the New Jersey code, and I know that you're consistent with the New Jersey code, is that request for relief is actually kind of inconsistent with your own master plan, and I can cite in the master plan the parts that I believe are inconsistent. But in general, the master plan was established to ensure orderly development and protect community interests. And as Brian said, variances should only be granted in cases of genuine hardship unique to the property, not for the convenience or increased profit of the developers. There is a part in your master plan that talks about Union is already developed enough, so that further development would not be necessarily warranted. That's my paraphrasing, but I could pull it up in the master plan if you'd like me to actually quote it. Would you like me to do that? No, okay. Because I know you're all familiar with your master plan. As it was also noted, there are 4 other 80-foot wide properties on Loudon Avenue, one which is, I think, for sale now. Who knows who's going to buy it? It will, as Brian mentioned, set an unfavorable precedent. You're aware of the code on, which is why they're seeking the variance, on duplexes and 2 families. So I'm trying not to repeat what we put into the objections repeat what's already been said. We do feel it's going to be a strain on the local infrastructure. The increased number of households resulting from the proposed subdivision and variances will place an undue burden on existing, already subpar infrastructure. Not your fault, but the infrastructure was built a long time ago. We just had an outage of electricity because the grid couldn't handle the hot days and the number of appliances being used. So now we're going to add 4 more to that on the properties. Water and sewer systems, I understand that there was a stormwater runoff, whatever water was investigated. But I also noted that the assessment was done on 6 inches of total rainfall with 3.2 per hour. The assessment was done over only 2 hours, and we often have rainfall for more than 2 hours, sometimes for days, as we know. There's additional runoff from snow, which we know will happen. So I'm not sure that the assessment that was done actually mimics what reality is. If they only looked at it for 2 hours in a day. We know that rainfall is often more than 3.5 inches. Schools, we're talking about strain in overcrowded classrooms. Washington School, Kiwami, the high school, we're going to add 4 families, which will translate to children. It's unlikely that someone who is single is going to move in. And as Dave mentioned, roads and traffic, we have Kane University there already. We do have permit-only parking. That doesn't mean that it's abided by. And there are a number of rental houses that have more than 3 cars, 4 cars, 5 cars, and visitors. So I think that needs to be considered as well. I won't go into the negative environmental impacts of impervious ground, affecting, climate change and other things. But it is noted in the Township Master Plan that there should be no further harm due to environmental changes and global warming. So we do think that environmental impacts are at play here. As Brian mentioned, the loss of green space and trees, noise and light pollution, altering the character of our neighborhood. We do have a distinct character with certain lot sizes, architectural styles. We understand that the future is now, but not necessarily to the detriment of our community. I don't have any proof on reduced property values, but a lot that is a smaller size, I don't believe, in my opinion, will have as much value as a property that is a larger size. And when they do comparables, it's not going to be appropriate. I have a mother-daughter. There is no other mother-daughter in the neighborhood, so my comps come up as much lower. They're going to look at at least 2 houses that are comparable, and it's going to affect our property values. And of course, there's the safety concerns, which is noted in your master plan, that for people that are pedestrians, elderly, children, we do have a number of children, increased number of cars, and it will be more than 3 cars. I did the calculation. If we assume 1 car per bedroom and 2 cars for the master bedroom, which is a reasonable assumption, because whether they're driving now or will be driving in a few years, 1 car per person is not unreasonable. We're going to be increasing up to 18 cars that will likely be moving out of their driveways more than twice a day. 5 of them may be moving out at the same time to go to school, to go to work, and coming home at varied times. So we see that the increase of the number of vehicles that would be parking would be unreasonable for the neighborhood and would create further congestion that is already affecting our streets, particularly Woodland Avenue, where you can only park on one side of the street. So that's, in essence, what our objections are. I'm sure there's other folks that have some other objections, but I think those are the most salient, that we would really not like to see the variances approved, and rather redevelopment in a way that does conform. And I know this is approximately the fourth time we've been back with the developers and the architects having the opportunity to revise. This is the first time that they've actually come back with a revision that is substantial enough. Twice they came back with those that there was no revision. So, I'm glad that they made some changes, but further development in Union to the detriment of the community, I would like to have considered. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to comment?
I just have one quick, David Arminio, 1032 Woodland Avenue.
David, can I just ask you to swear or affirm, to the extent you're offering testimony, it's the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just have a question.
Oh.
Will the developer have to come back with a revised plan, because he indicated that he was going to get rid of the two side windows? Would we have to go through this whole thing again with the revision?
It's not a substantial change that impacted variances. It was something they offered as an accommodation based on a public comment, so I don't think it's substantial enough to require you to have to come back to see, or even have the
Okay,
township
that's
comment
all right.
on that.
That's all I needed to know. Thank
Yeah.
you. Any other members would like to comment?
Can I ask you to swear or affirm that any testimony you're going to offer this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
It is.
And for the record, just state and spell your name.
Yes, Chris Baker. It's been a long evening. I still live at 640 Fairfield Way in Union. Just to be clear, I don't live in this community. I live in the Putnam Manor community. And I'm sure, as the board is aware, we recently were faced with a very similar situation where a developer purchased a property in our community with the intention of making a quick and healthy profit. He planned to demolish a 4-bedroom home and replace it with 2 new-build 5-bedroom properties, which would potentially have doubled the occupancy of the space that the original property was originally intended to support. As I think we've all heard tonight, and I think we can all relate to the fact that more bedrooms equal more cars. Maybe not initially, but as families grow and adults reach driving age, cars tend to follow the number of bedrooms. And in our particular case, prior to the developer being able to get approval, he treated us to a foreshadowing of what it would be like to experience that increase of vehicles, because he rented the property to 8 college students while he was awaiting planning approval. So this wasn't a theoretical concern that we had. We actually got to experience it. And I can attest to the fact that the congestion, the additional parking, the coming and going at all times of the day and night, in our case, was a very real threat and concern to the safety and the health of our community. I would urge the members of the planning board to take this factor into consideration and before granting variances, to cram more houses into a space that it wasn't originally designed for, or for what zoning requirements currently permit. Make that consideration in terms of that concern. It's a very real concern. We've experienced it in another part of the community in Union. I think all of the people that have spoken here tonight have very eloquently raised that concern. And I think irrespective of the clear impact that what is being proposed will have on the quality of life, I think granting such a variance would significantly elevate the risks to the health and safety of the residents of the Township of Union. Thank
Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that any testimony you provide will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
And for the record, if you could state and spell your name.
Eric Erath, E-R-I-K, E-R-A-T-H, 1055 Loudon Avenue, and I also own 1077 Loudon Avenue. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm not a good public speaker, so just be a little patient with me.
Can you just read it into the microphone?
Sure.
Thank you.
I've lived on Loudon Avenue my entire life, all 49 years. I grew up just a few doors down on 1077 Loudon Avenue, and eventually my wife Tracy and I bought our home at 1055 because we've always loved the look, feel, and community of this neighborhood. It's home in every sense of the word to us. After my father passed, my brother and I took over ownership of our family's house at 1077. So now we have deep ties to two homes on this street and to the neighborhood itself. With that said, I can honestly tell you, if these two large proposed homes had existed back when we were looking to buy, I would not have bought my current house. They're not only significantly larger than the homes around them, but they're being proposed on lots that are just too small for their size. The scale simply doesn't fit with the character of Loudon Avenue. It's not just about the look, though that's a big issue. It's also about privacy. I measured my home last week, and these new homes would extend roughly 20 feet further back than the back of my house. That's a huge difference. When my family is outside on our deck and patio, instead of enjoying our space and privacy, we'll be staring at the side of a large house. And with how close they'll be, those new neighbors would now easily be able to see into our entire backyard. That's a major concern for me and many of my neighbors. And let's be honest, I don't think anyone here would be okay with that in their own backyard. We've been here before. This same subdivision proposal came up back in 2007, and our community came together and successfully opposed it. It's honestly hard to believe that we're here again fighting the same battle. I'm urging you not to approve the variances for these oversized homes on these undersized lots. They're not just out of place, they threaten the character of our neighborhood, the privacy of our surrounding homes, and the very reason so many of us chose to live here in the first place. This is more than just a zoning issue. It's about preserving a community. If you were in our shoes, living where we live, I believe you wouldn't approve of this either. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would love to comment on this here? Application.
Can I ask the witness for any testimony you swear or affirms the truth and whole truth?
Yes.
And for the record, just state and spell your name.
Mike Zaccaria, Michael Zaccaria, Michael Zaccaria, 1064 Loudon Avenue.
Thank you.
I just want to reiterate quickly. I bought my house April 2001, right before 9/11. This, like Eric said, this is the second time we're going through this. 2007 was the first time. It's a nightmare that just keeps coming back. I don't know why. That's number one. Loudon Avenue, they proposed two homes then on Loudon. Guess what? The two homes are there again. We don't know why. They just can't build one. If they built two homes, we wouldn't be here tonight. Nobody would be here tonight. It's very simple. Number two, the backyard view, we talked about windows, no windows. It doesn't really matter. These two homes, I mean, every home on Loudon and Woodland are perfect rectangles. These two homes are inverted. That's why in the backyards, as Eric, and the homes that are directly next to them, you have this 25-foot home sitting there right in their backyard. Whether there's windows or not, it's irrelevant. It's not conforming. Number three, again, there's no drawings for site suitability. We saw drawings tonight. One home is built on a golf course, it looks like. There's no homes next to it. Another home seems to be floating in the sky. So there's no homes that you can see. These homes are not seen with the homes next to them. We believe that if you did, you would see the problem that everybody here is talking about. Number four, we didn't talk about it, but my wife brought it up too. On Loudon Avenue, these homes have 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. 4 bathrooms are great. We're just worried that these are going to be college kids on Loudon Avenue. Each bedroom has its own bathroom. That's not characteristic of the block. To me, that's dorm city, and that's what we're concerned about. We have some homes that are rented out. Sometimes it gets a little loud, but that's not something that's in. I wish I had 4 bathrooms. We have 2. We're lucky to have that with 2 girls and a son. Last thing is, again, I have the board resolution in 2007. I'm not going to bore you and read it. It's turned down for the same reasons that are here tonight. If you didn't read it, I hope you do, because it's basically identical. Thank you.
The other members of the community would like to come up and make comment on this application.
Can I ask you to swear or affirm that any testimony you might offer is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes,
And for the record, just state and spell your name.
absolutely. Christian Devaney, 1044 Woodland Avenue.
What was the last name? I'm sorry.
Devaney, Devanney, 1044 Woodland Avenue, and if you want, also 1051 Loden.
Thank you.
Wow, this is very difficult to speak. This is my hometown, and it will always be my hometown. My parents bought this house back in 1971. I was born in 1972. Lived in the house my whole life. I love the neighborhood. All these people are my neighbors. Unfortunately, it is a time I have to say goodbye to the house because it's over 135 years old. Everything is falling apart. When my mom passed away, I bought the house. I loved it so much, but here's the thing. I put so much money into it. People contacting me, messages, oh, we want to buy your house. We want to buy your house. I kind of refused at one time because I want what's best for the neighborhood. The thing is, I spoke to the realtor, George, and I said, I want the best thing for the neighborhood. I saw the plans, and I love it. It is beautiful. The homes are beautiful. The neighbors may not agree with it. They don't live in my house right now. Again, it's a 135-year-old house. People talk about parking. I'm not renting it out. I have one tenant right now. And if he had a wife and kids, there is no driveway. He'll be parking on the street. If I had a second floor, the third floor apartment, that's 2 bedrooms. Now you're looking at 2 more cars. What they're proposing is very well. It's good. It's understandable. Because you're going to have cars in the driveway. You're not going to have cars out on the street. Again, the house is falling apart. And I love the neighborhood. I love the backyard. But you know what? It's time to go because the house is falling apart. If I had to renovate it, it would be over $600,000 just to renovate that house. If you build 2 new houses, I don't even know what the market is to build a new house right now. It could be $500,000, $600,000, maybe more. These guys are doing a great job, and I commend them very well. And I understand what the neighbors are going through. Again, I lived here my whole life. It will be 53 years. But this is the best thing for the neighborhood. I can guarantee you nothing's going to go wrong with these new houses coming up. And ladies and gentlemen of the board, I just want to let you know, again, the house is falling apart. Sheetrocks are coming down. When the wind blows, the whole house shakes. Wires are everywhere. It's just not livable anymore. Something has to be done. And again, I approve these guys because, again, people have come up to me and said, we want to buy your house. I want to know what they're trying to do in my neighborhood. And I had to turn a lot of people down. And I said, all right, George, please show me what the buyers will like to do. He showed it to me. I said, I love it. So, please. Again, this is the best thing for the neighborhood. neighbors don't live in my house. I do. And it's falling apart, guys. It's falling apart. What would you do if your homes fell apart? That's my question. What would anybody do if your houses are falling apart? And we also talk about parking. There's 5 cars in driveways. Before the, maybe 8 years ago, my son's mom moved in and she said, wow, there weren't any cars. Now everybody has 5 cars. I just want to ask, how many people in each house drives 4 cars? I mean, if you have 4 people living in a house, and there's 5 cars, you have 4 cars in the driveway blocking a sidewalk. You have these other houses on Woodland Avenue, which is a small driveway, and they're up on the lawn and also blocking the driveway. I mean, blocking the sidewalk. What they proposed of a wider driveway for the cars to fit in, you have 2 cars. They're not going to block the sidewalk. Do I make myself clear on that? I mean, again, it's very emotional, but again, I love the neighborhood. I would not do anything wrong to the neighborhood. This is the best thing for the neighborhood right now, are these homes that they propose to the board. And I want to say thank you very much. I love Union. This is my hometown. And my son said, Dad, and he's 8 years old, he said, Dad, no matter where we go, Union will always be our town. And we love it. And I thank you all very much. And thank you, neighbors. Thank you.
Any other members that would like to comment?
Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that any testimony you can provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth? Into the microphone, too, if you could just state and spell your name.
Anita Erickson, 1041 Loudon Ave.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I get very nervous. My house was the first house built on Loudon Avenue. My parents broke ground for that house the day I was born. My family has owned that house all these years. I know that house that is broken down, and I knew the families that lived there. I understand his plight. I do. But we all have our own burdens in the homes. My concern for my neighborhood is shared with everyone in this room. The distance between the homes, the shortening of the lot size, the sizes of the homes. I do believe that would impact my neighborhood that I have lived most of my life. And yes, while I was married, I did move away with my family. And in my elder years, I've returned home to the home that I grew up in. And I would like to see that neighborhood stay the way it was now. As I've watched it grow and grow, that part of town has grown immensely, from farm fields to a small college from Newark to a full university, a train station, condos, storage units, and many, many more families in that neighborhood. We now have a lot of children in our neighborhood. There was a time when we didn't have a lot of children. My concern is the children. They run into the streets. Yes, you're adding more cars. I understand it. It goes with the homes. But my concern is the children that are there now. The children from the condo. They come to get the bus in the morning. Those cars going up and down the street, there are risks involved. Adding more cars, we do have a problem now. So I do wish that you would consider, as all my other neighbors do, to turn this down. Thank you.
Any other members members of the community that would like to come up and comment on this application? Councilman, you want to sum up?
I would like to sum up, but I'd like to break it up because I'd like to call Guillermo Argotti the major owner of the entity who's buying. I just want to make a couple of comments. I understand the concern of all the citizens, but first, they talk about parking. There is no parking variance. In addition, we have more parking than required, 3 more than required. Second, talk about an oversized house. The house is completely compliant. There's no side yard violations, none whatsoever. Talk about a bathroom with a bedroom. Isn't that the ideal today? So I just don't see some of the things being talked about. I understand their concerns. Talk about a 2007 case. It was decided that is not re judicata. It's a completely different case at this time. So the existing house is falling apart. It's a 3-family. It's non-compliant. It needs to be demolished and replaced with something new and beautiful. Talking about school children. We're talking about 1 extra unit. We're not talking about a multi-family dwelling, 1 extra unit. We're not adding, if we add a school child, it's 1 school child. So talking about distance between homes. Again, we're completely compliant. So I have a regular summation. I just want to point out the concerns of the citizens. They have their concerns, but they're not grounded in fact as to what is wrong with this application. There's nothing wrong with the application on all the issues they talked about. So I would like to give Mr. Argotti a chance to say a couple of words in response to the neighbors. Please. You have to be sworn in.
Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name with your affiliation?
Sure. Guillermo Argote. I am the buyer for Chris Home.
Can you spell your name, please?
Sure. Guillermo. Last name Argote. Argote.
Thank you.
Well, to the neighbors and to the board members, thank you for your time. You know, I do this for a living, the development, and we put a lot of thought. We put a lot of effort in everything that I touch. I own and manage a lot of property, and I'm very proud of it. I own properties in Linden, in Union. My mom lives in Union. I used to own 1096 Woodland Avenue, which I held for a lot of years. And I'm very proud of the town. I'm very proud of the street. Trust me, we had changed the plans already 4 times to make sure the neighbors are happy with the design. We added parking, we added backyard, we changed the exterior of the homes, we review all of their comments. This is not a 1 week type of transformation. This has taken months of improvement with the engineers, planning, architects, and all of that. I really put the best effort to on this street, and regardless what your decision is today, I will just give you my word that I will do the best I can to comply with their demands. If they ask for privacy, we already okay to move few of the windows to make them happy. But regardless, I'm in real estate, and I'm very proud of the product we make. I don't like to build buildings. I like to build residential real estate because my son, 17 years old, in a couple of years, he's going to graduate, he's going to look for a home. And I will now want to see him go into an apartment building to live. I want him to be in one of those residences. Yes, I understand that the house is a little smaller than the neighbors, but it's not a drastic disturbance to the neighborhood. We analyzed it. I went to the professionals. We are 95% compliance with all the items in the list. So I just ask you, put in a balance all the effort that we have put into this application to make sure it fits the neighborhood, make sure that they are happy, but I cannot make it perfect. Nothing is perfect, but I will work with you guys to make sure we get into the best possible of what we're trying to achieve. That's all my compromise is today. Regardless your decision is today, I thank you for your time. We tried our best. This was not an easy job to come up with the design that we put, but we have faith that the town see this as a progress and see a house that is 135 years old being renovated and put new homes for the new generation. I know you have doubts about the climate change, but we do our best with the materials. You know, we tried our best to put quality product, and that's my compromise to you guys. I understand your position too. I live in a home, I'm in Union County, my mom lives in town, my family lives in town, so thank you for your time, okay?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just do a regular summation at this point.
Any members of the public have questions of the testimony? Yes, you can come up and ask questions since he offered testimony.
Ellen Lieberman, 1085 Loudon Avenue. I've lived in Union my entire life, first on
If I
Office Stand.
might, I thought this was going to be an opportunity to question Mr. Argyle.
Yes.
It is.
It is.
It
He's
is.
got to come up and answer questions.
Lived in Union my entire life, one side of Union, Franklin School. Moved in 1979, I was 16 years old, to Loudon Avenue. I know that house, 1096. Can you say again your relationship to that house?
I owned it, I don't own it now. I sold it. It was bought in distress, in foreclosure. I bought it, I updated it, and I had it rented for many years.
Really? How many years?
I don't recall.
Oh, because I live right around the corner, about 6 houses from there. Okay. You bought it from an East Asian family, well, not from them, but from the bank, because it did go into foreclosure. There was a note on their door, they had to leave. You renovated it, never lived there. It's not irrelevant because he swore that it was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And the truth is that he bought it, and as soon as it was renovated, it was sold to the person who now rents it. So to say that you rented it for many years is an untruth, and I want to point that out.
Not true. I owned it.
All right, well, you made the question of him. You can offer further comments since he opened at a later time. Right now, it's just questions of the testimony he provided.
Okay, the question was his relationship to it, and
Right, and he disagreed, so you can elaborate. You'll be given an opportunity to comment again since the record reopened.
Is there anyone else who would like to question this?
Brander Espinal, 1100 Loudon Avenue. How long have you lived in Union? Do you live in Union now?
My mom lives in Union, and my
Okay.
family lives
Well,
in
you don't live in Union.
I don't.
And you want a project just like this one right next to you? I wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I would
Sure.
love to have a project like
Absolutely.
this.
How long have you been in business, in real estate?
22 years.
Again, I object.
Okay.
He testified to a certain thing. If you go across his history, I don't think it applies.
He did offer testimony, though, as the owner, so I think some leeway for the public
I
would
just
be
want to say
appropriate.
that I've been in real estate all my life as well. I have flipped a good number of houses, and this project is disrespectful to the entire neighborhood. The flips I do will conform to the neighborhood. 2 one-family houses, one in Woodland, the other one in Loudon, call it a day. You made your money. We're here to make money. I don't blame you for being a real estate developer. I've been there too. I still do it.
I think in the form of a question, though, because it's getting late, have you considered the option that you've heard tonight
Correct. Would you
for a
consider
conforming subdivision?
One-family homes, one in each street.
Okay, I apologize, but most of my properties, I don't buy properties, I fix them, I resell them. I own over 101 properties in Union County, and I'm very proud of them. Some in Union, I renovate them, I keep them in good standards. I don't get tickets. I am a good operator, and I'm very proud of the product that we built. So I disagree. I'm going to take these properties, fix it, and resell it. I'm going to keep the two-family, the ones in the back, I'm going to resell because they're single-family house. And the reason why I do this is to give opportunity to also other buyers that they are needing of houses. So you're trying to put me as a flipper, which I'm not.
What about us? We bought, we invested,
And
we
the
want to
property-
protect our investment.
The two-family
To some of
house-
us, it's the biggest
All right,
investment
we're
we've ever
going
made.
astray of question and answer on the testimony. The question, as I narrowed it down, is did you consider developing a two-lot subdivision with conforming single-family homes?
To invest that kind of money into this site, I will lose money if I decide to do two single families on each side. It's not economical, feasible.
So another developer will do it then. So you could always walk away from the deal if it's not going to make you money. That's all.
Or the property can get run down, it can be rented to college kids. It will be a difficult site. That's why we put a lot of thought into this.
Thank you.
Arnie Delgado, 1084 Loudon Avenue. I swear, my commentary is great.
Were you going to, question or testimony?
Question.
Okay.
You said that you were doing the best for the neighborhood by putting three-family homes, doubling the amount of bedrooms that are currently on the property from 7 to 14, and you're saying you do the best for the neighborhood.
Objection.
Is that your question?
Different from what was testified as to the number of bedrooms that are there. That's what it was.
The 7 or 14,
I thought it was 9 that was testified.
it was testified as 7, if I remember correctly.
Again, my recollection.
Do you say you're doing the best for the
4, 3,
neighborhood,
and
correct?
2 is my recollection.
The best for the neighborhood, you would love to live in that development.
Correct.
Okay. Why not?
I did not say that, but go ahead. What's your question?
That's what I understood, right?
What is your question?
Is you won't consider two one-family homes?
Economically, it's not feasible.
So it's
to do.
greed. Well, the reason we're all been wasting 4 Wednesdays over the last 3 months is nothing but greed. This whole thing is just greediness on the seller's part.
Right, this is
and
commentary.
on the buyer's part.
Is there anyone else in the community that would like to come up and comment on this application?
Yes, you can public comment because the record was reopened as to the witness testimony. Yes, if anybody else is going to question the witness, are we done questioning? Yeah, but if there's no more questions of the witness, we can have more public comment.
Again, I object to public comment unless it has to do with the additional statement made by the witness.
Yeah, you could address the testimony that reopened. I agree with that.
For the public comment, I'm doing public comment here.
Public comment based on the owner's representation after the record had closed and was
That's right,
reopened.
Yeah, now
Yep.
that I know that he was the person that bought 1096 Woodland and fixed it up very cheaply and sold it to someone else who's having a lot of problems with that house now, this was a flip. Now that I know that we've all complained about the person who bought the house from foreclosure, did a shoddy job, and now the new owner has so many problems with that house with the poor workmanship.
Ellen Lieberman, 1085 Ladden Avenue. I know it's late. I know you all want to go home, but I go to facts. It was not years. If there was testimony, truth, only truth, it was absolutely no more than a year that that house was from foreclosure to fix up to sold. So I'm not sure that everything you're hearing tonight is accurate.
I bought the property in 2017, June
No,
2017.
this is public comment now. If Mr. Gassion wants to put you back on and re-swear you in, that's the way it goes.
And yeah, we all live there, and all of us can tell you, from the time that the sheriff put the note on the door to development starting and it being sold, we're not talking years, and he never lived there.
Mike Zachary again, 1064 Loudon Young. One quick, very quick comment, I promise. Somebody here said something very smart earlier today. I don't know who it was. Maybe they can, about there are some homes that have the same footage, 80 feet. The fear is that if you vote on this and approve it, we have this neighborhood is 2 blocks from the Union train station. They're building the new tunnels under the river right now. Union Station's supposed to be Midtown direct with the Raritan line. The fear is, and somebody here said it, if you allow this, developer is going to come in, buy a home, and we're going to be here for a third time. So take that in strong consideration. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the community that would like to come up and comment?
I'm going to give a standard summation at this point. Obviously, one approval by this board, as you very know very well, doesn't set a precedent for anything. So if you give an approval on this 80-foot lot, doesn't mean you're obligated to give an approval on any other 80-foot lot. And there's a lot of discussion about 80-foot lots. I think, don't hold me to it, there are 54 lots in the neighborhood, 3 besides this one are 80-foot lots. So the 80-foot lot is unique in this area. An application to demolish a multifamily, 3-family, which is in very poor condition, and erect 2 new ones and a new 2. That, in my opinion, is a benefit to the neighborhood. You're getting rid of a discordant use, 3 families, a discordant use that's in poor condition, and replacing it with 3 new homes. You're eliminating the existing nonconformity. The lot is being subdivided is the largest or equal to the largest in the neighborhood. It's the only through lot. The proposal is consistent with the neighborhood because it doesn't violate in any way the side yard or the setbacks. It has more parking than required, and in fact, we came in with an application that had more than double the parking requirement, but because of concerns about the yard, we eliminated that and still came in with more spaces than required. This is a D1, and certainly the benefits outweigh any detriment, and the special reasons were made clear by the applicant. The master plan considerations, the planner was very excellent in his testimony and made that clear. You're taking an unattractive home and putting in a new set of properties. Again, repeating, largely compliant with what is required. The drainage. There was discussion by an objector with regard to the drainage. The drainage will be compliant. It has to be. Discussion with regard to number of children. We're talking about 1 additional unit. How many more children would come from 1 additional unit? Talk about traffic movements. During the prime time, 7 to 9 or 4 to 6, there were 2 additional traffic movements at most, inconsequential, not noticeable. There was discussion about environment and climate change. This kind of project will have 0 effect on environment and climate change. There was discussion about property value. Nobody's qualified to testify that property value is going to go up or down. I would personally speculate it'll go up if you're removing a very poor condition 3-unit building. There was a safety concern. There's nothing unsafe about this. There's sufficient parking, sufficient backup area, plenty of room. So it is not an unsafe circumstance. I think what we're proposing is a complete benefit to the neighborhood, more than adequate parking, all compliant with side yards and setbacks, has 1 unit more, and eliminating a discordant 3-family old building in very poor condition that's sitting there as an anathema to the neighborhood. And I thank the board for all the time and consideration they've given to this application. Thank you.
believe that we can accomplish this application. Ms. Ricketts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After hearing testimony from the public, thank you all for coming out a third time, and looking at the application, my vote is going to be no.
Mr. Fern?
Yeah. Well, you can explain what you're doing. I'm not voting yet. Just explain what you're gonna do, but don't vote yet. How you feel about it.
For listening to the public. I understand their concerns. I believe that the possible new owner is a good person, and at this time, I'm going to vote.
No. Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Mr. Johnson?
You're good. They're going to do a formal vote. They're deliberating right now.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe that the benefits outweigh the negative impacts on this application, and I don't believe it's the neighborhood's problem because the home got dilapidated. They're saying it's only one more unit, but from what I understand, there's only 2 or 3 people living in that home, so it's really not just one more unit. It's a lot more people. So I'm going to vote no on this application.
Mr. Graves?
After hearing the concerns from the public, I feel the negative outweigh the positive, therefore I'll be voting no.
Ms. Scott?
I have to agree with my colleagues. I also just want to commend the community because you guys did an excellent job of coming together to protect your community. I also think that the negative impacts definitely outweigh the positive impacts. The traffic that we went back and forth with, I don't think was necessarily about traffic. I think it was about cars being parked in the neighborhood and people being able to come home from work or go out to shop and be able to come back to a parking spot versus having to ride around and look and, you know, just being a nuisance for just getting a parking spot. So I definitely think that was, and I just, you know, to have you come back out twice and possibly a third time, again, you know, kudos to you guys because you don't get a lot of people that can galvanize the neighborhood and come out to a community. So you should definitely be proud of yourselves. I will also be voting no.
Yes, and as for myself, I agree with my colleagues, and I'm going to vote no as well. May I have a motion to deny the application?
Just for the record, too, if you're going to make a motion to deny, a vote would be yes to deny. So if you're going to follow this right protocol.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board deny the variance applicable to this application, that the council be directed to prepare a resolution consistent with the board's decision.
Second.
So a yes vote will be to deny. Roll call.
Ms. Scott?
Yes vote will be to deny. The motion is to deny.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
July 16th, the resolution of the board denying the application will be part of the board's record.
Mr. Chairman, there being no further business coming before the board this evening, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.